What's up, guys? It's Miss Poolin. Just trying to kind of show you guys how to solve some two-step equations, the basic ones. This is probably going to be like a 5 or 6 part series on solving two-step equations because, as my students know, there are so many different types of equations. We're just going to start today with basic ones where the first thing happening is that the variable is being multiplied or divided by a coefficient, and then being added or subtracted to a constant. We'll talk about in another video what happens if the constant is applied before the coefficient. We'll talk about what happens when you have decimals and fractions. We'll talk about what happens when you've got the distributive property in there, which I guess wouldn't really be a two-step equation, but yeah, you know what I'm saying. So we're just going to do some basic two-step equations with integers today, okay? I'm going to be using the CUDA software two-step equation with integers worksheet for this video and for the next video. So hopefully by the end of this, you can take the problems we do together. You can go grab this worksheet either off of Google or just attach to the video link that I give you. And you can finish this worksheet, all right? It's got a lot of problems, and the beauty of it is you can take what we learned and you can go try them yourself and then check the answer key there, all right? That's the purpose of an answer key, not to cheat, but to check, okay? I do want to say this too. I just made this video. This is the third time I've tried this video, and it was like 30 minutes long, and I know nobody's trying to sit here and watch a 30-minute video. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go kind of quickly through the how, and I'm not going to go too deep into the why because I find myself explaining everything and it's just too time consuming. So if you are a person who is like, no, I really do need you to explain why I'm doing every step, please let me know and I'll make that video. And if you're the only one that watches it, cool, whatever. But for the purpose of this video, I really want to get to the how. All right. So I like to start off every video. I say that as this is my first video. I'm going to start off every video with a goal. All right. When you're solving an equation, the goal is to determine what value or values of x make the equation true. All right. And I'll even show you how to check and make sure you got the right answer. So for a basic two-step equation, we are first going to eliminate the constant, and second, we will eliminate the coefficient. All right, and the purpose of eliminating those two things is, well, there are two things right now that are kind of stopping us from knowing what r or x or m or p or whatever. There are two things stopping us from knowing what r equals. In this case, that's the 4 and the 10. And we need to eliminate both of those things. One of them is called a constant, the one that's being added or subtracted to the variable. We call that the constant. We're going to get rid of that. And then we're going to get rid of the number that is being multiplied or divided, and we call that the coefficient. So once we get rid of those two things, we will just have r equals and a number. So we'll know exactly what r equals. All right, let's get it started. We're going to be doing problems like both of these today. So we're going to do these 4 together, and then I'll do 2 more with you real quick, and then you can go try the rest yourself. So for number 1 and number 2, I always tell my students, oh, and hold up, I forgot to tell you, we're going to be using inverse operations. Right, inverse operations. So if somebody added something to r, we're going to subtract it. If somebody multiplied something to r, we're going to divide it, right? We're going to use the opposite operation. So let me zoom in on these problems real quick. Appreciate you. Okay, the first thing I tell my kids to do is draw a line down the equal sign. Ooh. Draw a line down the equal sign. Why? No reason other than for you to know where your sides are, right? For there to be sides, that means there has to at some point be a middle, okay? And this line right here, this equal sign, is our middle. So first, like I said in our steps over here, the first thing we are going to do is eliminate the constant, okay? So let's go ahead and do that. How do I know, Miss Poolin, what the constant is? Well, friends, the constant is the number that is on the same side as the variable and it is being added or subtracted to the variable. So in problem number 1, that would be the number 4, okay? 4 is being added or subtracted to the variable. So in this case, it's being added. How do I get rid of the fact that they added 4 to our unknown number? Well, the opposite of adding 4. Let's work backwards. Let's subtract 4. All right, so you think our final answer was 5. Let's work backwards and subtract 4. So I can find myself getting too, I'm talking too much. All right, 5 minus 4 is 1, and 4 minus 4 is 0. A lot of people are tempted to then put a 0 there. You totally can, but it's like unnecessary. You don't have to write nothing. You don't have to write 0. So we just usually kind of like cancel it out. But we did not cancel out the r divided by 10, so we do have to bring that down to the next level. All right, so all we did in that first step was got rid of our constant. All right, got rid of that plus 4 with a minus 4. Now we're going to shift gears and we're going to say, well, we need to get rid of this divide by 10. How do I get rid of a divide by 10? Well, the opposite of dividing is multiplying. So let me multiply 10 on both sides. Remember, do it to both sides so that you remain equal. Okay, we're trying to make sure that this is always equal because it says equal. Okay. Now what happens over here? I feel like there's some type of canceling that's going to happen. Yes, because 10, if I slap that over a 1, all right, make that a fraction. 10 is in the numerator. This 10 is in the denominator. 10 over 10, right? If I kind of multiplied these straight across, you get 10r over 10. 10 divided by 10 is 1. Anything divided by itself is 1. So that cancels right out because it becomes 1. That didn't really go through the 10. Hey, all right. 10 divided by 10 is 1, leaving us with just r over 1 or just r. All right, and you don't have to put, again, 1r or r over 1. We know that all of those things are just r. It's kind of like when you don't have to say, I have 1 apple. You can just say, I have an apple. Just 1, all right? So on the left side, we have eliminated the constant. We've eliminated the coefficient. Now we just have r, which is great because I wanted to know what r was in the first place. And then over here, I've got 1 times 10 is 10. Love it. So I get the answer r equals 10. I'm going to box that up, all right? And I can check that and make sure that 10 really is the right answer by plugging it in or substitute it in for the r in the equation. So in this equation, it said r divided by 10 plus 4 equals 5. What if instead of putting r, I put 10? Because 10 was my answer for r. Well, 10 divided by 10, we just said that a number divided by itself is 1. 1 plus 4 equals 5. That is true. All right. I almost said any questions, but there's nobody here to say that they have a question. Okay. Number 2. Let's start again by eliminating our constant. That's 5. Why do I know that's my constant? Because it is being added or subtracted to n. All right, so how do I get rid of a positive 5 with a minus 5? Sweet. I'm left with n over 2 equals 3 minus 5. I would go to my calculator because I don't want anyone saying 8. I don't want anyone saying negative 8, okay? 3 steps forward and 5 steps back. We're at negative 2. And I'm going to, cool, I got rid of my constant. Now I need to get rid of my coefficient. How do I get rid of a divide by 2? By timesing 2. All right, 2 divided by 2 is 1. That cancels out and leaves me just with n. And negative 2 times 2 is negative 4. Sweet. I got n equals negative 4. I'm just going to double check that to make sure. So I've got n over 2 plus 5 equals 3. And we just said that our answer was negative 4. So I'm going to replace the n with a negative 4 and see if it works. Negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2 plus 5. 2 steps back, 5 steps forward is 3 steps forward. Love it. Cool. True. All right, so we're good with number 1 and number 2. I suggest going to try all of the problems like that. So not number 5 and 6. Those are different because in the numerator here, we just had the variable. Now it's the variable and a constant. So we'll save that for another video. But, if you recognize 7 like that is similar to that. If you recognize 14 is like that, you can go and start solving those ones. Let's move forward to pick some new colors, purple and green. All right. Let's go to number 3 and number 4 and get that done. All right. Number 3, pretty basic. Let's get rid of the constant. The constant. What is my constant? -2. Sweet. How do I get rid of a -2? +2. Alrighty. -2 plus 2 is 0. 3p equals -29 plus 2. Do this on your calculator so you don't mess up with your negatives, all right? Negatives take a long time to get straight, and you're not there yet, some of you. So just type it in the calculator. -29 plus 2 is -27. All right, now I want to get rid of the coefficient, the number being multiplied or divided by p. In this case, that's a times 3. How do I get rid of a times 3? Divide by 3. And I get that p equals -27 divided by 3 is -9. Again, I can check that by taking my original equation and substituting in for p the answer we got, -9. So I'm going to put -9 where the p was and keep everything else the same. 3 times -9 is -27 minus 2, -29. And yeah, -27 minus 2 is -29. Cool. All right. Let's try number 4. In this case, I don't want you to freak out, okay? It is a little different just because they've moved some things around, but all the things are still there, okay? I promise you, everything's still there. So what is our constant? Well, it's the number being added or subtracted to r. In this case, that is a 1. Now, that's not a -1. This is a +1, so don't even worry about that negative sign yet. We're just going to try to get rid of this +1. How do we get rid of a +1? We subtract 1 on both sides. 1 minus 1 is 0, leaving us with -r equals -5 minus 1 is -6. Okay, now some of you are like, well, what the freak do I do now, Ms. Woolen? Okay, I don't have a number like I did on number 3. I had the number 3 to divide by. I don't have anything to divide by. I just have this random negative sign that dropped down with the r, okay? There's an invisible, if you didn't know, -1 in front of r. When I say an apple, okay, or I just say the word apple, like there's nothing in front of the word apple. How many apples is that? We know that is 1 apple, okay? You don't always have to say 1 apple. You can just say, I have an apple, all right? Or I lost an apple. How many apples did you lose? 1 apple, okay? So there is a coefficient here. Don't freak out. The coefficient is -1, which means we're going to divide both sides by -1, leaving us with r equals negative divided by negative is a positive. 6 divided by 1 is 6, so +6. Love it. Let's just double check that answer by plugging it again back into the original equation, which was 1 minus r equals -5. If r is 6, 1 minus 6 equals -5. Bada bing, bada boom. Got it. All right, it is true that -5 equals -5, so we're solid. We've got our answers. I hope this was a little bit helpful, okay, for you to try to solve some basic 2-step equations. But I will make another video on how to do problems like number 5 and number 6. I'll even do a video on distributive property, combining like terms, multi-step equations. Like we'll get to all of that. But for now, this is all I got for you. Please let me know in the comments if you struggled with, number 5 through 28. I know the answer key is there, but if you get the wrong answer and you're not sure why, let me know. And then if you have any suggestions for going deeper into why all of these operations works, or there's something you need me to clarify, just let me know. I promise I'll hit you back. And until the next video, guys, stay cool.